Hello and good morning to the students of class 11. For those who are watching it, today I'll be helping you with the questions and answers of the chapter from King Tut, Discovering the Saga. We've discussed and shared a lot of information regarding this chapter, and I really hope you've read it. So, in today's class, you have these questions wherein you have to give the answers to the following, and then you have a bit of detailed questions which you have to find the answers and then write them. So I'll start with the first one. The first question asks, King Tut's body has been subjected to repeated scrutiny. Now the question is, you have to give a reason why has his body been put through so much of scrutiny. Now the answer to this question is not very explicitly given over here. You can see that he was a teenager when he died. He was the last heir of a powerful family. Maybe he was murdered. But more importantly, he was one of the first mummies to be found way back in 1992. So, first intact mummy to be found. Okay. Lot of gold and artifacts were found on him around his tomb, hence he was scrutinized a lot. Moving to the next question. The next question asks, Howard Carter. Now if you do remember, Howard Carter was the person who discovered King Tut's body, King Tut's tomb. So hence the name Howard Carter. So Howard Carter's investigation was resented. In this case, the word resented means hated. What he did, his investigation, not his discovery. Please note that his investigation was hated. Why? The question to this answer is, if you've read, it's very simple. This is where you have the line. Okay, so the mummy is in very bad condition because of what Carter did in 1920, said Zahi Hawass, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. Now in this case, when finally much later, when King Tut's money was handed over to the Egyptians, the body was not in the perfect condition that it was supposed to be in. All right, and that was the reason why it was resented, hated. Okay, moving forward to the next question. The next, so we've finished number 1 and number 2. Yes, question number 3. Carter had to chisel away the solidified raisins to raise the king's remains. So the king's body was inside the mummy, the casket, not the mummy. Sorry, the king's body was the mummy, and the mummy was inside a casket. The pictures of which I've shown you. So he had to chisel it away. Chisel, as in it's kind of, you have to cut something away. For example, your a piece of paper is stuck to another piece of paper. In that case, you have to chisel something away. You'll find the information over here. This is where you have the ritual raisins. Ritual as in when a body was mummified, there are a lot of rituals when the body is dead. In all religions, even today we have it. So the ritual raisins had hardened, cementing Tut's bottom. The ritual raisins had hardened, cementing to the bottom of his solid gold coffin. All right, and because no amount of legitimate force could move them, Carter had to chisel them out. Now do remember that he had to remove the mummy from that location, because if he left it there, he did try to take it out through other means, but he had to chisel them out, because if he did not, number one it was stuck, and number 2 could have been stolen later. All right, now please do note, kings more important than King Tut, their tombs were raided and looted much before the archaeologist could find them. Next up, King Tut's body was buried along with gilded treasures. In this case, the word gilded means covered with gold. Okay, So the reason is very simple. The reason to this is, see, in all these cases to give the reason to this answer number 4 is that it was their tradition. Okay, it was their tradition. Let me show you the exact part, hoping I can find it. Basically, I mean, the kings, they believe that after the king died, they should be able to carry, they could need, because see, everyday things he would want in afterlife. So not only he was rich, but also he had a lot of products. So yeah, it was their tradition. You can write the answer directly as it was their tradition. Next up, yes, the boy changed his name from Tutankhamun to Tutankhamun. The answer is yeah, over here. So he changed his name, see, to the living image of Amun. Okay, Tutankhamun was a different name which he got from, see, Aten, he got from his predecessor. So he wanted to believe in the god Amun. Hence he changed his name from Tutankhamun to Tutankhamun, which means living image of Amun. So that's why he changed his name. Right, we've finished all 4 answers. Moving to the next questions. List the deeds that that led Ray Johnson to describe Akhenaten as wacky. Now this word wacky over here, it means odd, unusual, or let's say peculiar. Okay, you can also use the word crazy. Okay, things which one should not have done as a ruler, not the right thing to do. Let's go to where the answer was. Yes, so see, his name initially was Amenhotep IV. Okay, before he became wacky, he changed his name to Akhenaten. That's the question. If you note the question once more carefully, yeah, Akhenaten as wacky. Deeds means actions. The actions which led Ray Johnson to say that Akhenaten was wacky, odd, unusual, peculiar, crazy. Remember the name Akhenaten. Yeah. So his name initially was Amenhotep, which he changed to Akhenaten first. Slightly, I mean, the whole idea of changing your birth name is slightly unusual, but given the reason, even if that is accepted. So number 1 is name change. You'll find another reason. He moved the religious capital from old city of Thebes to the new city of Akhenaten, all right, now known as Amarna. You can find Amarna on the map. Okay, so change of religious capital, that's another reason. These are the 2 reasons. Well, that's about it. Okay, see, that's the reason. The family had ruled for centuries, was coming to an end, and then Akhenaten went a little wacky. Why he went wacky? These 2 reasons. Changing of a city is a major, I mean, not the city, a capital city is a major decision. It has a lot of financial problems if it is not done properly. Oh, there's one more point that I did not highlight. It's very important. Let me put it down in. This is the one. Okay. He further shocked the country by attacking Amun, a major god, smashing his images and closing his temples. So, in these 2 points, you have to add another one. It's called he attacked god Amun. Okay, smashing his images and closing his temples. So please do add this part with this one. Okay, so the 3 points would be name change of religious capital, and attacked god Amun and smashed his images and closed his temples. Moving forward. Yeah. What were the results of the CT scan? This question. What were the results of the CT scan? The results were obviously very simple. Just a moment. Yeah. The results of the CT scan has been mentioned in this paragraph. Okay. This was what they found out after the CT scan was done. So the results would be, a gray head took shape from a scattering of pixels. Then it was found that the neck vertebra appeared as clearly as in an anatomy class. Images revealed a hand, several views of a rib cage, transection of the skull. Alright. Okay. So the results of the CT scan you have to write. Number 1 would be image of head. Number 2, visible neck vertebra. Number 3, visible hand and rib cage. You obviously know what a rib cage is. And number 4, transection of the skull. Alright, let's try to end this video quickly. List the advances that have improved forensic analysis. You can write X-ray and then CT scan. There's one more which I showed you in that video the other day, where they had the radar device on the walls. So you can also add radar. Okay, this is an extra information, you should add it. Okay, last question. Explain the statement King Tut is one of the first mummies to be scanned in death as in life. This line was said in the other part, wherein if you do remember that King Tut was one of the first person to be found intact. Okay, and the fact that everything that happened to him was new, was for the first time. His body was found, he was the first to be found. His body was taken for the CT scan. He was the first person that happened to him. Okay, so even in death he was head of his countrymen. So these are the 2 points that you have to add. It's very simple. So King Tut was one of the first mummies to be scanned in death as in life. His death was first to be found. Okay, his life as in not his actual life, but he came to life in 1922. He came into existence and he was the first person to come into existence. So you have to write first mummy to come into existence, and the second one is first to be CT scanned. These 2 important parts. So that's all for today's class. Please make sure you write all the questions, those which you have already written. Questions of number 1, which you should have done by now. That's great. Please do number 2 and make sure you upload them in the Google class. That's it. Thanks.